Hey, good evening, everyone. It's me, Daniel Miller, president of the Texas Nationalist movement, and it is time for coffee talk tonight. Man, I'm a little pent up, right? We didn't get our visit last week. That was entirely on me. Right? Sometimes things happen. I warned you all about this when we started doing this, but I am here tonight, so I'm looking forward to doing what we do every single solitary week. That banter, that sharing of a cup of coffee, a little bit of decompress, talking about Texit, and answering your questions. So very excited about tonight. So I'll tell you what, let's just tear into it. Let's get a little housekeeping out of the way. For those of you joining us for the first time, you heard me say it. I am Daniel Miller, president of the Texas Nationalist Movement. And this is Late Night Coffee Talk. This is that midweek break that I take to get yet another cup of coffee before I tear off into the next thing that I've got to work on. And I spend it with you, where I answer your questions and talk about the things that are just, that have been happening with Texit. And, man, I got to resituate. This chair is not comfortable. I mean, I guess it is comfortable. It's just not comfortable for me right now. I'm a ball of energy. I mean, this chair cannot contain me. That's how fired up I am. Wow. Anyway, if you're watching on either of the YouTube channels, be sure to drop your questions and comments in chat. And Super Chat is active. So, yay, that's great, right? And you can make contributions there. Or if you don't want Google to take their cut, head over to tnm.me/donate and donate directly. If you're watching on either of the Facebook pages, be sure to like and comment and, share. If you're watching on Twitter, thanks. Do the things that Twitter allows you to do. And if you're watching on our Roku channel at home or in the mobile app, that is awesome. Thank you very much. Still don't have a way for you to interact there, but maybe it's on the horizon. Our developers have got a long laundry list of things to do, so it's not like they have a shortage, but it is on the list. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's get into it. Oh yeah, and a reminder: if you want to send your questions in, you can post them in chat on YouTube, Facebook comments, as I stated. And if you look at the scroller on the bottom of the screen, you will see an email address. You can email your questions to coffeetalk@thetnm.org. And I've already gotten quite a few, so I think we're going to be well supplied for questions tonight. Some I'll be able to handle. Some are going to get just referred to the Texit page on the website or the book. It's just the way it works. Wow. Okay, man. I see a chat over here scrolling like a slot machine. See, some of you guys don't understand how this works because we are on multiple platforms, right? All of it aggregates. So whether it's the people that are watching, the numbers, or the chat, that all feeds in here. So however that works for you. It's always fun parsing the numbers when it's all over with. And good news is we've steadily grown in viewers, but you can definitely help make a difference there by share. Okay. Okay. Wow. 2 weeks since our last visit together on Coffee Talk, and it was a pretty eventful 2 weeks. I trust that many of you made it through the ice storm unscathed. If you are in Austin, and you were watching, then I assume that you have power back. If you were not watching, then I'm just going to assume that your power lines are still down due to decades of mismanagement by the city government there in our state capital. Very, very, very sad state of affairs. That said, wow, since we last spoke, I mean, there's been news, been lots of news about Texit. We've still been steadily working the legislative process. And of course, today we had the announcement that the Speaker of the House has announced the House committees. And of course, the committee that the Texit bill will eventually end up in the House is State Affairs. And it was interesting because the chatter ahead of the appointments actually had pegged Will Metcalf to chair State Affairs, but instead Todd Hunter, which was not on anyone's bingo card. At least it wasn't on ours and or anyone else we talked to. I think it was a kind of a big surprise there. But that being said, look, I'll just come right out and say it. The last time that I spoke at when we were on the Texas tour, spoke at the Republican Women's Club down there in Corpus, which is in Todd Hunter's district. Todd couldn't make it, but sent his chief of staff. So the door is potentially open. And look, dialogue is happening right now with legislators. I mean, we've got former legislators that are having conversations on our behalf related to the Texas bill. So any of you that are wringing hands about it not being filed yet, stop wringing hands and start ringing phones. That's all I can say. If you are not communicating with your state rep and your state senator and having those conversations, then you are not helping, and we need your help. I don't want to. The thing that I do not like to hear from legislators is that they are not hearing from their constituents. I hate that. Right now, how much of that is real and how much of that is just kind of a slough off? Who knows? But much like we talk about with overwhelming the algorithm related to a certain activity that happens here every 2 years and 4 years, you have to overwhelm the system to where it becomes a thing where they can't say. It becomes so evident that they can't say that they're not hearing from their constituents. So stop ringing hands, start ringing phones, start showing up to district offices. And that reminds me, so next week, and you will see an announcement about this, but I'm going to go ahead and tease it now. You need to be checking your inbox or go to the TNM website, make sure your phone number is updated so we can text with you and send you a text alert. We have got an entire week of action planned related to the Texas bill. So if you want to vote on Texas in 2023, then you'll definitely connect up with us and watch for these action items, and then you will carry them out. It's just as simple as that. We need to focus our strength at the weakest points, go after the lowest hanging fruit, and all of these things that we ask you to do are not just stupid human tricks. They are for a purpose. It's because we need them done at a certain time in a certain manner so that we can advance the cause of Texas independence and get you a vote on Texas in 2023. It's as simple as that. I mean, I can't break it down any simpler than that. It's just the way it is. Okay. So let's talk about some of the news. And I'm sure some of you were probably intrigued a little bit by the invitation and the announcement that tonight I was going to address some of the criticism that's been thrown at us over the fact that we spanked TikTok. Right? I mean, of all the things, I've been criticized for losses before, right? Or maybe not wins as they were perceived, but seldom, if ever, have I ever accepted criticism for winning a fight, right? I mean, I can think of one time when I was in college, and I was we were debating, right? I was a competitive debater for the college. And we walked out of a round, and I was so ridiculous as far as being condescending that the judges needed to check me after it was over with. And we won the round because we absolutely destroyed the competition. But it was the way in which I did it that was wrong. And I spent the entire weekend going around and making apologies because I did not even realize that I had been a jerk, right? So I can think of that one time in the past where I got criticism for a win. And this is going to be number two, right? So for those of you who do not know, had not been paying attention, a few weeks ago, I guess it's probably a little over a month ago, our communication team spun up a TikTok account for us because we've never had one. We've never had a TikTok account. And there are a lot of reasons for that, but we had a need, as assessed by our communication team, to communicate with a certain demographic, right? We needed to communicate with younger voters here in Texas. And the outlets that we were currently using were not conducive to that. So they said, look, let's go TikTok. And the discussion was about some of the challenges we have with it. And there was a pretty spirited discussion about it. But at the end of it, it's like, look, if this is what it takes to win, then we spin it up and we just chock it full of Texas content. And lo and behold, if you go right now to our TikTok account, for those of you that are on it, you'll see that the first video that we posted has already had over 1.5 million views. Cumulatively, I think we're close to 3 million. Would be my guess. If not over at this point. Okay, 3 million views on videos all across. I mean, our videos there are being viewed. In some instances, the one instance 1.5 million times. We've got one that's just shy under 1 million. It's between 500,000 and 1 million, and tens of thousands of other views on other videos. I mean, so we're getting lots and lots of folks that are watching our text message, and they are listening and they are responding. They're going to the website and they're registering their support. And, so those things are happening right now. And then out of the blue, without warning, without notice, TikTok bans our account. I mean, they just pull the plug on it. Now, no explanation, and we were told that typically when things like that happen, it's for promoting hardcore disinformation or, illegal thing, whatever it is. Right. So we immediately contacted the attorney. Our comms team got on it. And sure enough, there was interest in the suit, or interest in that TikTok had banned us and that we were going to also sue TikTok like we are suing Facebook right now. Right. And that led to this little gem. Right? Fox News covering this whole issue about the suspension from TikTok. And sure enough, as soon as the reporter, who did a great job, reached out to TikTok, who, by the way, never responded, TikTok, under pressure, because we pushed a bunch of people that way and we were already tuning up the attorney, and that wasn't the only PR that we got about this. TikTok relented and they reinstated our account. Yay, score one for the home team. We whipped them into submission because we did to them what we had done to Facebook and Twitter and many of these others over the past when they would do kind of shisty things to us, as we just unleashed on them. And what happened? They relented. So we score a win. Yay, that's good for us. But yet, oddly enough, emails and posts on Facebook, which is ironic, but I'll get to that here in a minute, people chewing us out. Why are you on TikTok? That is run by the CCP. Yes, probably. Yes, I'm sure it is. You need to get off of TikTok. Okay. I mean, I hear you. I hear the criticism. But you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. And tonight I'm going to address it, and I'm going to explain to the critics out there about this why you are just absolutely dead wrong. And it gets down to something along these lines. Okay. And those of you that have heard me lament about social media in the past, this is going to apply as well. Okay. I want you to think for a moment about, and bear with me. I want you to think about the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union, or really the free world versus the communist world. Okay. What you think about that? And I want you to think about, excuse me. I want you to think about the nuclear standoff The Soviets had nukes and ICBMs. We had nukes and ICBMs. Now, I'm pretty certain that none of us is a big fan of death by nuclear fire, right? I don't know that anyone on here is. I don't know any of us that wants to die a death of, immolated in nuclear fire. So you would say that probably we are opposed to death by nuclear fire. However, the opposition has it. They have the weapon. And the only way to keep them at bay is to also have the weapon. And so we had them. We had nukes and had lots of them pointed at one another. And the lesson, friends, is simply this. You don't take a tool from your arsenal if you need that tool to defeat the opposition. So those of you out there that are criticizing us just simply for having a TikTok account and because of TikTok's affiliation with, the Chinese, are essentially saying that we should abandon TikTok, even though millions of people here in Texas have not, and just let the opposition have those people. Because you understand the opposition is not going to abandon TikTok. I don't care how many nasty grams you send to them or how many crappy Facebook comments you lob at them. The opposition is not going to get off of TikTok. They're not going to. And that goes for any of these other social media platforms. When you send me hate mail, or these nasty grams about you need to get off of Facebook or you need to get, you know what? I get it. I get it. But at the moment, that is where Texans are. And if you haven't figured it out yet, it takes Texans to win Texas independence. All political powers inherent in the people. And we are going to use every conduit at our disposal to reach the people. It's as simple as that. I want you to look at this. Let's look at some raw numbers, right? Let's just take a look at some raw numbers. Here's what you have to understand. So much criticism lobbed at us saying, why aren't you going after younger people? Why don't you have more women? Well, first and foremost, the demographics of our organization more closely match the demographics of Texas as a whole than either major political party. But we're going to go where the people are. And this is raw data. TikTok has about 80 million monthly active users in the United States. How many of those people do you think are in Texas? Probably a lot. 60% are female. 40% are male. But here's where the tail of the tape. 60% are between the ages of 16 and 24, and 26% are between the ages of 25 and 44. What does that tell you? Do the math. 86%, right? Let's just chop it right on down. 80% are between the ages of 16 and 34. You want us to go after and reach young people with the Texit message? Guess what, friends? That's where you're going to do it. That's the place. So you cannot, on one hand, demand that we take our message to a younger demographic and then cut off the major conduit for communicating with those people. Well, somebody said, oddly enough, in a Facebook comment, which again, I will get to here in a moment, somebody said in a Facebook comment, well, there's got to be another way. Well, I tell you what, our first video got 1.5 million views on TikTok. 1.5 million. So you bring me some other conduit that reaches that demographic in those kinds of numbers, and then we will have the conversation. Spoiler alert, it doesn't exist. Now, at some point, will TikTok be booted out of the United States and not accessible? Probably should be, given the kind of data that it collects and its attachment to the Chinese Communist Party. But as it stands right now, it is a place where we can talk and take our message to the people of Texas, and I will never cut off my nose to spite my face. We are going to go where the people are. We do not surrender not one square inch, not one single piece of territory in this fight. Because at the moment you do that, then the opposition knows exactly where your weaknesses are. You challenge them on every battlefield available. And that goes doubly so for the digital sphere. That's why we're on every platform and why we operate more on some than others, because we also have to be super efficient with our time and our efforts. Now, I said that I was going to get to the irony of being criticized on Facebook about utilizing TikTok as a conduit. So I kind of suspect that this might not be from folks that are just really understanding what the situation is. Because here's an article right here from the Liberty and Justice Center. New evidence proves Biden administration pressured Facebook and Twitter to censor Americans. Now, we already know that Facebook and Twitter and all the major social media platforms not only cooperated actively in censorship, viewpoint discrimination on behalf of the federal government, right? Not only that, but we have also known for many, many, many years that those social media platforms do share information. So if somehow you feel that Facebook sharing your data with the federal government, which engages in censorship, active censorship, although by proxy, right? The Chinese government does it directly, but the federal government decides to subcontract it, right? But if you somehow feel that that is a morally superior position, then I don't understand. But if you want to be consistent in your outrage, then you should probably not be on any of them. None of them. And when I say none, I mean none. But that's your choice. That is your choice. And I celebrate and applaud your choice, because at the end of the day, as an organization, we have to go where Texans are. And if that is TikTok, if that is Facebook, if that is deep in the backwoods of East Texas or out in the plains and the prairies out in West Texas in the Panhandle, or in the impoverished neighborhoods in the inner cities, that's where we go, because those are our people and they deserve to hear what we have to say. They deserve to hear the hope that Texas can provide. And so you can send hate mail all you want to. Fill my inbox full of nasty grams. But at the end of the day, understand that we're always going to do the right thing. We're going to lean back on that phrase that all political power is inherent in the people, and we are going to take our message to the people regardless of where they are and how we have to get to them. Okay. I tell you what, before I carry on, let me get to some questions. I'm sure there have got to be some. Let's see here. Oh, there it is. See, they changed my interface on me. What's going on here? Yeah. Okay. So, not related to what I just talked about, but I've got some thank yous right now. This is from Deborah Chapa. Debbie says, "How'd you like the coffee we gave you? We have some more for you. Thank you very much. I happen to be drinking it tonight." And so Debbie and Manny sent this fantastic coffee to me. And I don't have the bag right in front of me, or I would show it to you, but it's a great one. And so thank you guys so much. And it just so happened that very same weekend, Cheryl sent another bag of coffee. So we are well stocked, and they are both fantastic coffees. Very, very different. Oh, look, here it is. There we go. This is not a product placement or product plug. This is just awesomeness. So this is the one that the Choppas sent. Fantastic coffee. And then this is the one that Cheryl sent. What's the buzz? Both great. And as you can tell by how little they are shifting about, Kara and I have torn into those things already. So thank you guys so very much. Staying caffeinated is a thing. I can't tell you how many early morning conversations I've had as of late where I started off and with the words, "I am woefully under caffeinated." Okay, Randy C says, "Are there plans to release the Texit book in paperback?" It is. As a matter of fact, you can't. There aren't any hardbacks in circulation. We have a supply here that we came across that was sent to us from the publisher. We have a supply here. There are a few floating around. As a matter of fact, we brought hardbacks to our table at the Rally Against Censorship, which we didn't even talk about, which is a great event. You'll see video on it soon. I'm not going to cover it tonight, other than to make fun of the fact that the Antifa soy swillers did not even show up to protest, even though the cops had a really cool area for them all set aside. But Randy, it's available in paperback. If you order it off the website, that's what you get. You get it paperback. Hey, super chat from Paul. Paul, thank you so much. Text it indeed, my friend. Appreciate the super chat. Okay. I tell you what, let me take one question from email really quickly, or a couple, because I think I can knock a couple of these out really rapidly. Okay. This Steven says, "Why are you even on TikTok?" I just explained that. So thank you for your question. Okay. Scott says, "What plans does TNM have for Texas to break free of the central bank fiat money CBDC promoting cabal? Does TNM promote real commodity backed physical money?" So that's two questions. And number one is Texit. The answer to number one is Texit. You can't even have those discussions until you get your independence done. So keep the main thing the main thing. And then does TNM promote real commodity backed physical money? If you look at our mission statement, you will see that the economic independence of Texas is a large part of what we do. And if that is what is determined by our need for economic independence, if that's the direction that we have to go to maintain and protect our economic independence, then we're all over it. All right. Dr. Justin Wood says, "How do you see the state government working after Texit?" I would suggest the book if you hadn't read it, or go look at the texitnow.org site for some of those questions. But it would be way too much for me to get into now as to why those questions are answered the way that they are on the website. But if you go to the website, texitnow.org, go read the book, you'll understand. Steve asks, "Can we or should we press TikTok for specific answers as to why they shut us down in the first place? Do we leave well enough alone?" Pressing them for specific answers outside of a lawsuit probably would not yield anything. We've talked to our attorney about this. We're already fighting this mega suit against Meta, which they shifted our hearing to the 21st of February. So our actual first court date will be the 21st of this month. So, we could press, but I don't know that it helps us out at all. Stacy asks, "What should the reply be to someone that says Texas will be thrown into severe poverty when all of the Fortune 500 companies move their headquarters post-Texit?" Stacy, I'm going to tell you, and this gets down to one of the reasons that we have started asking the question as we have for years now, which is, let's don't talk about Texas. Let's talk about if Texas was already a self-governing independent nation, would you vote to join the union? People make these assertions like this nonsense. Texas will be thrown into severe poverty when all of the Fortune 500 companies move their headquarters post-Texit. Okay. So in that question, which is not even a question, it's an assertion. In that assertion, they are asserting that all of the Fortune 500 companies will move their headquarters. So it's incumbent upon them to prove their assertion, right? When we make assertions like what happens to Social Security, We back that up with current federal policy. Or how do we defend ourselves? We back those things up. So when we make assertions, we provide evidence and facts, but you understand that's a two-way street. They demand answers out of us when we make assertions. It is 100% correct and right to demand answers from them when they make assertions. Show me where any evidence exists, any whatsoever, that any Fortune 500 company has said, when Texas happens, we will move our headquarters out of Texas. Now, interestingly enough, I will tell you that we heard similar things during the Brexit debate. All of these major companies were going to move out of their headquarters out of the UK to be in the European Union. And you know what happened? Not that. No, in fact, more companies moved their headquarters to London out of the EU because why? Because of a more favorable economic climate. So this idea, when people make these assertions like this, you don't have to take them at face value. This is sort of debate 101. If they're asking a question, you are perfectly, you're perfectly fine to answer that question. And if they want evidence to support your assertion, you can give it. Okay. But when they make assertions and they ask questions, loaded questions like that, you are perfectly well within your rights to demand that they back it up with the same force in which they would force you to back up your assertion. And so that's what I would do. Show me. When these people say, Texas is unconstitutional, cool. Pull out a copy of the Constitution and show me. Show me. Well, Texas against federal law. Show me. Well, the Supreme Court said, okay, tell me what the Supreme Court said. Well, I haven't read it. Well, of course you haven't, because you don't know what you're talking about, right? So, this is where you get an opportunity to be bold. This is where you get an opportunity to put the opposition, who are the minority now, back on their heels and stuff them back in their box when they say stupid things like this, right? This is apocalypse pornography, and we don't have to put up with it. One last email question before I get to the next thing. Bucky asks, why must I go through all this downloading apps and stuff to watch Coffee Talk? I'm already a member. You don't have to. You can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Facebook. You can watch us on Twitter. You can watch us. It's literally embedded in an article on the website. You can watch us on our mobile app if you'd like to, right? But we're all over the place. You pick it and you can watch us there. Okay. All right, let's get back down to it, my friends. We are going to have a hi-ho Dario tonight. Can you tell I'm properly caffeinated and a bit pent up? Okay, so, something, and I just don't even know really how I have been asked an awful lot. You can hear me self-editing, right? Because it's like one of those, you're looking at sort of a big topic, and you're trying to figure out the best way to get a hold of it, so you can kind of carry it or whatever. And I guess it's just the best thing is just to tear off into it, right? Because interestingly enough, we have had a lot of questions about why we have had such a major surge in Texas support recently. Right. I mean, if you go look, and if you're anyone who's watching the counter on the front page of the TNM website is, they're looking at this, and honestly, that's not everybody, right? There are a lot of people that are engaging with us that don't get counted as supporters right now because they haven't made to that next step. They've made their first step of engagement, but haven't done their formal declaration of support. So, what you're seeing is only a part of the picture. But the question becomes, from a lot of people, or has been, why all of a sudden surge, right? I mean, people are kind of, as I alluded to at the very beginning, a lot of hand wringing that the bill hadn't been filed and, things of that nature. But there's a lot of Texas support out there, right? And so some people are having a hard time reconciling this. And so I'm going to explain to you and by the way, for those of you out there who have no idea what I'm talking about, understand that we're piling on brand new folks at a pretty rapid pace right now. I mean, it's pretty wild, and you have to understand that we're engaged in a full spectrum campaign. You know, I just went on this long tirade about the criticism we've gotten off of TikTok, but guess what? It's working. We've gotten people. People may or may not know that we are currently running a flight of digital ads and have been for about 90 days. We're doing spotted, very targeted digital billboard advertising right now. We're doing paid search ads. We're in the media all over the place. We're active across all of our communication channels, and our field is spinning up in a real way. We're also volunteers are engaging via text messaging campaigns with Texas voters in targeted specific districts, and it's working. It's happening, right? And if you want proof, I mean, I don't. If anyone out there is curious about kind of how this is beginning to manifest, let me just show you this. This was a tweet unsolicited from us from the Libertarian Party of Texas this week. We fully support the rights of the people to alter their form of government. The right of the people of Texas to alter their form of government must be acknowledged by being allowed to vote accordingly to reassert Texas independence. That's the Libertarian Party of Texas, right? But let's not forget that right now, the Republican Party of Texas has not one, but two planks on their platform calling for a vote on Texas. Plank 33 says it right here. Texas retains the right to secede from the United States, and the Texas legislature should be called upon to pass a referendum consistent thereto. And then the other one, even more specific, Plank 225 under their state governance heading. We urge the Texas legislature to pass a bill in its next session requiring a referendum in the 2023 general election for the people of Texas to determine whether or not the state of Texas should reassert its status as an independent nation. Right? I mean, so it's there. And the activity is happening at such a rate that this came at us, rather unexpected. Not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before at the 2023 AWBD Midwinter Conference. Those of you who do not know what AWBD is, it's the Association of Water Board Directors, right? It's a level of governance that we have here in Texas for these water districts. They have a water board, okay? And at this conference, they had a segment on Saturday there I think it was Saturday from 9:30 to 10 a.m. It was their legislative session update. And who hosted it? Howard Cohen from Schwartz, Page, and Harding, who, if I remember correctly, is like the top lobbying firm for those water districts, and Trey Larry from Allen Boone Humphreys Robinson LLP, who's the number one law firm for those districts as well. They host the seminar. And what do? In this ballroom full of these essentially local elected officials, they start giving the legislative update, and they say, hey, guys, here's what you need to be looking out for in this legislative session, because here are going to be the hottest topics. Here's the big topics. Number one, Texas secession. Number one, right? Not number one, Democrat chairs, or number one, drag queen story time. Number one, big topic in this session, Texas secession. What in the world do they know that some people don't get? This thing's happening, people. It's happening. Now, we can help it along, right? Do you want the vote in 2023, or do you want it in 2025? If you want it in 2023, then, go back to what I said at the very beginning. You know what you got to do, and you got to do a lot of it, and you got to do it all the time, right? But I mean, we're also seeing high profile folks, just like we saw last session, coming out and talking about this. Here's Michael Malice. If you don't know who he is, go Google him. I'm not going to get Michael's bio tonight. But he was being interviewed, and this was the excerpt that was posted out to social media, and it blew everyone away because Michael lives in Texas now.
I am delighted as a Texan that it is now the official policy of the Texas Republican Party to have a referendum on Texas secession. And I think that is something that is actually going to happen sooner rather than later.
Are you pro-Texit? Of course
I am beyond pro-Texit.
Or do you worry about, like, partition in India was not peaceful, or the breakup of Yugoslavia was not totally peaceful?
We spent 2 years everyone in this country was imprisoned in their home. We are not living in peaceful times. We're just living in docile times. Well, that was pretty good.
Wow. Good night, everybody.
There you go. I mean, unequivocal. And interesting that he cites right out of the gate the things that I just talked about a moment ago. These things. Who did those? We did those. We did that. Were it not for us, those things wouldn't have been there. The momentum that built over years and years and years, and the organized action got it done. You got it done. But that's not the end of it. You see, it seems that everyone else out there is sensing that this is happening. I mean, let's go back and look. We were untouchable a year ago. And here's this. Boom. There's the answer. We're engaged in a historic lawsuit that will put a stake through the heart of any opposition that anyone would bring up about the constitutionality of Texas withdrawing from the Union. We have a good bill. We have good legislation that just needs to be filed. We've got people on our ledge team working for you. We've got local leaders in areas all throughout Texas that are waiting for you to show up, to come to their meetups, to participate in their outreach. You have people in your personal circle right now that are Texas supporters that do not know that you are and do not know how to even get involved that you can fix. You can fix that. I said this when the poll came out from Survey USA, about 66% of likely voters voting for Texas. And I said this, and at the risk of being repetitive, I'm going to say it again. You can walk out of your house, close your eyes, spin around 3 times, throw a rock, and very likely hit a Texas supporter and probably a second one with the ricochet. But just because we have that support out there doesn't automatically mean we win, because we have to connect with them and we have to organize them to get and win the vote on Texas. This stuff does not fall from the sky. Just because they'll vote for it doesn't mean they will ever get the chance if we sit back and do nothing. And that's not what we're doing. The TNM is working. We're busting our humps over here to try to get this thing done. And we're trying to get it done in the smartest, most efficient, and quickest way possible. And what we need is people that are Texas supporters to help with that effort, to volunteer, to help us knock doors and ring phones, or at a minimum, just share the link with people. You all have an email contact list. You all are on social media, with probably the exception of TikTok, some of you, right? But here's the thing. The clock is ticking. Tick, tock. Tick, tock. The clock is ticking. Do you want the vote in November 2023? Because let me tell you something. Everyone out there is looking in at Texas right now, and they sense that it is coming. This is the moment that we were born for. This is the moment that history will judge us on. Are we going to get it done, or are we not? I can't work. Unless some of you guys can petition to get some extra hours added to the day, I can't work any more hours. And I know the vast majority of the national leadership team cannot work any more hours. How about giving us a couple? Do you have a couple hours to spare that you can make some phone calls? Do you have a couple of hours to spare each week where you could, organize a meetup or host a house party, right? Or help us reach out to. Do you have an extra 2 minutes that you can share links on the website to everyone and encourage them, if they are Texas supporters, to connect with us? Do you have 30 seconds where you can go on whatever social media platform you're on and find what we're doing, 30 seconds a day, and just share, or retweet, or comment, or like? 30 seconds. That's it. I am not. I'm. I got to self edit. I got to self edit because I'm soapboxing. Can you tell? Long story short, and we're going to bring this to a fine point before I get down to answering the final set of questions. Texit is happening. Did you ever in your life think that you would be in a day and age when establishment, long-term, mainstream lobbying firms and law firms would sit in a room full of elected officials and say, guys, here are the big topics coming up in this legislative session? Were you expecting it? Because let me tell you, that moment is here. It's here. Right now, it's happening. So we're going to go win this thing. And we're going to fight like the third monkey on the ramp to Noah's Ark, and the rain has started. We're going to fight like we've never fought before. And there's going to be some sleepless nights, right? But at the end of the day, when this is all said and done, we'll be able to carry on our business and do whatever we want to do, but we'll be able to do it in a free, sovereign, independent, self-governing nation of Texas. That's just the way it's going to be. And yeah, we're going to run up against some opposition. We're going to talk to some legislators that are just crappy individuals that have absolutely zero character, right? That took an oath to the Texas Constitution and are forsaking that oath by not even entertaining letting the people vote. Guess what? Crap happens, folks. There's going to be bad actors after Texas, just like there's bad actors now. And we're going to beat them then, just like we're going to beat these guys now. And if they cannot see the light, we will make them feel the heat. And you as a constituent have every right to demand that they give you a vote on Texit, that they get on board the Texit train. Even if they don't support it, they could hate it. They could despise it. They could think it is the dumbest idea in the world. But what they are not allowed to sideline is Article 1, Section 2 of the Texas Constitution, your inalienable right to alter, reform, or abolish your form of government or your government in such manner as you may think expedient. They do not have that right. And just like if they were gun grabbers or engaged in ridiculous censorship or put a padlock on the door of your house of worship, you've got to treat a denial just like the trampling of those inalienable rights, like you would treat if they trampled those rights. That's what you got to do. And I can't put it any plainer than that. Now is your time. Are you going to take it? Or are you going to let them take it from you? This is your time. So you need to connect up. You need to help us. When we say contact, contact. When we say call, call. When we say email, email. When we say this is what the message needs to be, understand that we are not doing it just because we believe and everybody should be just so obedient. We're doing it with a purpose. If you don't believe me, go back and watch the webinar with Dr. Quartrup, where he consulted with 17 different independence movements around the world, and he said beyond a shadow of a doubt, those that exercise the most discipline are the ones that win. And dadgummit, folks, I want to win. Do you want to win? Do you? I hope so. Because we're together in this, and I want to win. and I want you to win. So let's go win. Okay. Maybe I don't need any more coffee tonight. I am going to do some work when I get off of here, though. All right. Questions. How can you tell whether or not the U.S. will invade after independence? Covered that one ad nauseum. When you have military officers retired that say that it's impossible and improbable, then, you go with that. But there's a whole rationale. I've covered it lots and lots of times about why it's impractical. Dig in the archives or go look at the text section on the website. But covered it an awful lot. Kent says, any bill sponsors for a Texas referendum this session? When that bill is filed, as I have said many times before, you will never have to ask. You will know exactly who it is. And trust me, when we are ready to announce, we will announce. But remember, it's about playing smart. I mean, we want this thing to pass, don't we? It's not just about getting it filed to make a statement. We want it to pass because we want the vote in November. Okay, Justine says, thank you for your question, Justine. I proudly drive with a TexitNow.org sticker on my car. I've had a lot of comments, positive comments. That's wonderful. Thank you for doing that. I mean, sometimes it's those acts, but it's also about engaging with the folks, making sure that not only do they see that sticker, but when people say something, say, hey, look, it's not just a website to go get your questions answered. It is a movement that is making it happen. Would you like to be one of us? That's it. Sometimes that's all it takes. If you had an opportunity to vote on Texit, would you? Well, great. Let me connect you with the organization that is helping to make that a reality for you. All right. Okay, let me look here. Let's check email really quickly. Man, I'm on time tonight. How crazy is that? Okay, here's one via email. Joy asks, says, good evening, Daniel. I've written my senator and representatives asking them if they're aware of the Texit movement. I get no response from them. Not a yes or no. Could you please expand on this? Yeah, sometimes senators and representatives, staff members are terrible and they don't respond. But you're a constituent. So if the letter doesn't work, call. And if a call doesn't work, visit. Most of your senators and reps have district offices. Get ready for a visit. I mean, you guys, I'm telling you, if you have not already signed up, all of you got an email with the Capital Action Survey. Fill it out. If you don't know where it is, go to tnm.me/capital. But you all have an email about that. Fill it out because we need to know who we can count on because we are getting ready to spin up. And so, Joy, they will hear by the time we're done. Okay. Ooh, this is a long one. Okay. This is a long one. I am not going to read it all, but I am going to answer Shelly's question. So Shelly says, hello, thank you for all you do. I'm excited for the possibility of Texas disconnecting from the federal government. I would like to know if we do so, will we be also disconnecting from the WF, the WHO, the FDA, CDC, CIA, FBI, all the corrupt agencies? Okay, so, and then there's a whole bunch of other things and about the IRS, and it says, is this all possible with Texas? Yes. Those are, you listed off these, one is a private organization. You listed a UN organization, right? The World Health Organization. And then you listed some federal agencies. And as an independent Texas, we get to choose the relationships that we engage in, right? So number one, there won't be a CDC or a CIA or an FBI here because those are federal agencies. Will we have equivalents? Well, maybe. We already have the Texas Rangers, which are essentially the FBI of Texas. But, with the exception of, not doing dastardly and terrible things, they're probably, will we have an equivalent of the CIA? Well, we always have a need to gather intelligence for national defense. But will they be, plotting the overthrow of governments? Probably not. They'll be just making sure that Texas is safe. And it could go on and on and on. But yeah, I mean, that's what Texas does. Texas gives us the opportunity to define how we govern ourselves and the relationships that we have with other nations. And that's an opportunity that we don't have right now. Our domestic policy is about half being dictated by 2.5 million unelected bureaucrats, unelected, unaccountable federal judges, and K Street lobbyists out of Washington D.C. That's just the way that it is. And all of the major things that a self-governing independent nation would engage in are all being decided out of Washington D.C. So really, what say do we have in how we're governed? Very little is the answer. Okay, my friends, it's time to wrap this bad boy up. Actually, on time tonight. Wow, who knew? Okay, well, let's get down to it. If you have not already pledged your support, head over to tnm.me/vote. I mean, I literally just ranted about this, right? You got to connect. You got to go do that. And I also said something about this. If you'd like to become a volunteer, head over to tnm.me/volunteer and become a volunteer today. We need all hands on deck. Let's go win this thing, right? Let's go win it. Yeah, it's gonna be one for the books. I'm gonna tell you, next week is gonna be fun. Some of you saw the social media posts that big news is coming. It is. But that big news is going to involve all of you and some conversations that are going on over the next several days. And what comes of those conversations is going to be really what dictates the actions that we're going to ask you to take next week. Either way, it's going to be big, and we're going to make sure that it's big. So, man, I got to tell you, I love being one day closer to Texas. I love it. I mean, I just do. How could I not, right? Okay, my friends, that is going to be it for me. I am going to go ahead and sign off, go get another cup of coffee as though I need it, and get back to work. In the meantime, I'm going to leave you with the words that I leave you with every single solitary time we're together. They're not my words. They are the words of Sam Houston when he said that Texas will again lift its head and stand among the nations. I believe that time is now, and the question is, will you stand with her? Let's go win, everyone.